From the Ministry of the Presidency in Georgetown, this is This Week with the President, with Janelle Carter.
Welcome to another edition of This Week with the President, a weekly news magazine which provides you with an in-depth look at the policies, programs, and work of the President of Guyana in his quest to realize the good life for all Guyanese. I'm your host, Janelle Carter. In the news this week, Guyana exploring economic opportunities with Arab states. Veterans assured of better living standards as President restores annual subvention to the Legion. And President urges Guyanese to give generously at launch of Salvation Army's Christmas appeal. Guyana's recent participation at the 4th Summit of the Arab and South American countries has placed the country on a good footing to explore economic opportunities with some of the largest states in the Arab world. During this summit, which was held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, discussions were further advanced regarding Guyana's move to gain membership of the Islamic Development Bank.
We are looking at the mechanics of having that type of development bank again. We cannot guarantee our farmers, particularly paddy farmers, stable prices without a mechanism, because again, like other commodities, the price will fluctuate. If people feel like eating rice, they eat rice. If they don't feel like eating rice, they won't buy rice. And we've had problems with the Venezuelan market. There are other producers around the world. Vietnam, they're very aggressive producers, massive producers of these commodities. So we feel that the development bank will be able, particularly an agri-development bank, industrial development bank, will be able to iron out some of the unevenness in prices.
The Summit of the Arab and South American countries is a very unique international forum that brings together 14 states from the South American continent and over 20 Arab states on one stage to discuss major issues affecting both continents and recommend ways to peacefully resolve conflicts.
We feel that these initiatives will be good for Guyana, they'll be good for South America, and they'll be good for the world, because we're enlarging the area of peace. More and more states interested in peace. It means when we go to the United Nations, we'll be able to coordinate our positions better. I'm not saying this has happened, but I'm saying this is a step in that direction.
The Arab and South American partnership was initiated by former President of Brazil, Lula da Silva, 12 years ago. The debt of gratitude owed to veterans, past and present, is one which the world may never be able to repay. There is no price for peace and societal stability. It is for this reason every year that countries across the world pause to remember the brave sacrifices of those who fought to ensure a world at peace and to celebrate the servicemen and women who have pledged to defend and protect their nation and their fellow countrymen. On November 8th, Guyana observed Remembrance Day 2015 with much pomp and military fanfare that rivaled that of previous years.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're now witnessing the arrival of His Excellency, the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Brigadier David Granger.
Wreaths were laid at the cenotaph, a war memorial monument on Main Street, Georgetown, by the President, the Prime Minister, head of the Joint Services, and members of the Diplomatic Corps in Guyana.
Granger lays the first wreath
Remembrance has been observed by Commonwealth nations since the end of the First World War. By remembering the sacrifices of brave servicemen and women, it is hoped that current and future generations will strive to preserve the peace that they fought for.
We are forever indebted to them for their supreme sacrifice in the cause of peace and freedom. We also recall with gratitude those who, through the years, have made similar personal sacrifices in the continuing struggle for human dignity, social justice, and freedom from all forms of oppression. Their example strengthens our resolve to maintain our efforts for a world at peace, a world with justice and prosperity for all people. Let us remember also those Guyanese who, since independence, have died in the service of our nation. Let us thank those who continue to defend our territory and our patrimony. We, the citizens of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, on this solemn occasion, rededicate ourselves to the search for peace and the well-being of our people in our beloved country.
World War I, which was fought between 1914 and 1918, resulted in over 17 million deaths and 20 million wounded. The Second World War, however, was far more deadly, annihilating an estimated 60 million people, an equivalent of 3% of the world's population. Meanwhile, veterans in Guyana were assured of the government's commitment to ensure that they enjoy a better standard of living, and serving members of the joint services were promised dignified retirement packages, as President Granger announced the return of the annual subvention for the Guyana Veterans Legion. This announcement was made at the Remembrance Day reception organized by the Legion following the wreath-laying ceremony at the Cenotaph.
We are serious about the quality of life of all Guyanese citizens, and we are aware of your special contribution to our country. We do not see this as a reward for past services, but we see it as an investment in the future, so that young entrants into the defense forces must know that they can look forward to a comfortable and dignified retirement. Several checks were handed over to the organization, inclusive of promised unpaid subvention in the sum of $1.5 million, a contribution of $300,000 from the Office of the Prime Minister, $1 million from President Granger as patron of the Guyana Veterans Legion, $1 million for the repair and maintenance of Coghlan House, the home of the Legion, and $1 million for the National Veterans Rest Home in Lamaha Springs. This brings the total to $4.8 million, which will help to improve the quality of life of veterans.
Excellency, the impact of this on your veterans' morale will be considerable, given the responsibility of the organization for the management of veterans' affairs. As our patron, you've demonstrated in no uncertain terms your unstinted support to the veterans community. No longer will we be considered with fear and loathing by an unfriendly administration.
The government will also convene the National Veterans Commission to examine the conditions under which veterans are living and working and make recommendations for improvements. Additionally, a Veterans Trust and Veterans Department will be established, and all of these initiatives will be solidified with the passage of the Veterans Act.
Guyana owes a debt of gratitude to our veterans and to our defense force. A grateful nation cannot forget the service they have rendered when they were young. And we have an obligation to protect them from the scourge of unemployment and poverty and disease when they grow old. The state acknowledges and accepts its obligation to assist our veterans to ensure that they too can enjoy a good life. The state will help to open opportunities for veterans when they leave active military service.
Over the years, the Legion has been carrying the mandate of providing for the welfare and well-being of veterans and their families. The presence of the Salvation Army's Christmas kettles at strategic points around the city is synonymous with the Christmas season. On Friday, President David Granger deposited the first donation at the official launch of the organization's annual Christmas appeal. The Salvation Army has been working in Guyana for the past 120 years to rehabilitate victims of substance abuse, assisting poverty-stricken families, and ensuring that less fortunate children are not denied the joys of the Christmas season.
We have always been happy to be associated with the Salvation Army here in Guyana for over 120 years. It has been one of the pillars of society in our country, and we are very happy today that they're doing such important work in drug rehabilitation in addition to their charitable work. So I'd like to take this opportunity not only to usher in the campaign, but also to record the gratitude of the nation to the work that the Salvation Army has been doing for over 120 years in our country.
Mr. President, we are indeed happy that you are here because your presence provides additional credibility to the Salvation Army. Your advocacy of this fundraiser gives the notion of honesty, decency, integrity, which are hallmarks of the Salvation Army. Funds raised through donations made at the Christmas Kettle, together with other sources of funds, help provide direct, compassionate, and hands-on service thousands of people each year in Guyana.
The President reminded of the spirit of the season and urged citizens to give generously to the organization this year as it endeavored to spread Christmas cheer to the less fortunate. Thanks for staying with us. What does the President do all week? Let's take a look inside his diary. During the last week, President Granger and First Lady Mr. Sandra Granger hosted a graduation ceremony for participants of the Self-Reliance and Success in Business workshop at State House. 28 women and 5 men received certificates after taking part in a program aimed at empowering them to start up small businesses or improve on their existing business ventures.
I'm very happy to say that I have received promises of more support so that we will be able to expand the reach of these workshops to other women, particularly in the other regions of Guyana. And we are in discussion with Interweave Solutions, Mr. Wayne Barrow, who put the idea to me back in August, to continue out into the hinterland regions, Berbice, Essequibo, and so on.
On September 7th, the President and the First Lady were the guests of honor at the radio's Needy Children's Fund annual dinner. The RNCF is a 61-year-old organization that has been catering to the needs of less fortunate children throughout Guyana. The President was also paid a courtesy call by British High Commissioner Greg Quinn, during which discussions were held on support for the security sector and British aid for infrastructural development to Guyana in the coming months. The that brings us to the end of this edition of This Week with the President. Thank you for joining us. For regular updates on the Ministry of the Presidency, go to our website www.motp.gov.gy. Like our Facebook page, Ministry of the Presidency, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MOTP Guyana. I'm Janelle Carter. Do have a safe and productive week ahead. Goodbye.